Okay, today is Tuesday, the 5th of May, and we're continuing with our series of interviews with ex-students and ex-members of the community as part of our centenary celebrations. So today we want to welcome 3 ex-students who are also at present teachers at the school. Dom Ritchie, John Fitzpatrick and Paul O'Brien. Welcome, fellas. When did you come to the school as a student?
I started in 1975 in 5th class, where the old 5th class block used to be. On the right-hand side of the yard, I had Miss Hopley at the time, who actually, by the time I finished in primary school, married the brother who was principal of the 5th class, who had left the brothers and they got together.
Okay, so you came in 5th class in 75 and you stayed through all to year 12?
Yeah, through to year 12 in 1982 and actually went through with John sitting on my left here.
Okay, we might ask John. You also arrived in?
Also arrived from St Joseph's, Rockdale, 1975, 5th class, with Brother Herbert. That was a huge, big surprise for me coming from primary school, and Brother Herbert had his own conservative ways, and it was a graded class and he started school early and he was a tyrant.
Old school. You're trying to say he's old school.
He used to sleep in his own room.
In class?
In class.
I don't think there's anything wrong about sleeping in class, but anyhow, yeah, so that was Brother Herbert. He was the head of the primary, was he, or just your...
No, just a brother who was quite an eccentric character.
Right, and you also stayed through here to year 12?
Year 12, finished in 1982.
Yeah, right. And the young one, Paul O'Brien, you arrived in?
I started in 1989 and finished in 1994, and in Year 7 we had Diane Booth as our Year 7 coordinator. She was a lovely lady and really well liked, and we ended up in Year 12 with Mr Dennis Burns, who was a very feared man, nicknamed Satan.
Old school?
Old school.
Old school.
But fair.
Yeah, but fair. You vice captain of the school?
In 1994, yeah. Vice captain. That was a good position to hold and something I really look back on with fond memories. And yeah, we had a really good Year 12 group, very social, a good mix of Penshurst and Kogarah kids, and yeah, still friends that I have today from school.
Who was your school captain?
School captain was Daniel Crawford, and the other vice captain was David Rayner and Kogarah Bloke. So we had a Penshurst school captain, which wasn't as common back then, but yeah, very good mix.
Right. Back to Dom, sort of things you remember from maybe primary and your secondary years here?
It was, going back then, it was a pretty tough school. We were very strong in sport. We had a great spirit within the school of Marist and within the sport. But the boys were pretty tough in the 5th class area. We used to have our small playground on the right, and if your ball went over into the main playground where the seniors were, that was the end of that. And if you're tough enough or keen enough to try and get across the line to get the ball, you were fair game. So they were tough days, and the cane was given back then, and along with many boys back then, I had my fair share. But in saying that they were tough days, they were enjoyable days as well, and plenty of opportunity to be involved in extracurricular sport and whatever interests you. They still had cadets up to 1977, which I was a part of for that short time.
Mal Tolley is still present. We interviewed Mal early on, and he's still here, and he taught you?
Mal taught me in my junior years in Tas, and when I became a teacher and moved across into Kogarah after a previous school, Mal's my boss, and learnt many things off him as a student, including getting the cane off him once, and but he's been a great mentor and role model at the school for both staff and students.
Fitchy, any sort of people you remember that stand out, students or teachers?
It was a turbulent time coming from 5th class with Brother Herbert. Then I had Karen Rice in 6th class, and she was like a mother. And the time I remember was the school library being built, and we spent 6 months down at Bexley in the Scout Hall. So we had many extended recesses and lunch times. We did cooking, so hospitality was in back then. And we played lots of games of Coffee Laura. That's all I remember from those times. But probably the most memorable year was not Year 12, but 5th class, going back to Brother Herbert again. Just his ways of teaching, which he did reward you on a Friday afternoon with a film. And he was, as I said earlier, he was a tyrant. But also I remember that many principals coming and going in the time that I was here, so it was a turbulent time with the number of principals either leaving the brothers and getting married or just moving on to another school.
Obi, memories?
So many memories. I suppose Year 12 was probably my fondest memories. Little incidents that's happened. Playing sport with, played MCC soccer, and in Year 11 I was lucky enough to be in A grade along with pretty much 14 other Year 11 guys. We only had one Year 12 kid in the A grade team, and we ended up winning the CCC Cup, which hadn't been done before and I don't think it's been done since, so that was really good. We had a Joe Vickage who ended up playing for the junior Australian side, so we had a pretty talented team. We backed up the following year. We did win the MCC comp that year, and then the following year we backed up and we won the soccer competition, and our first 13 rugby league also won the comp then. So we had a pretty good party afterwards. I suppose one of the highlights of the year was when we had Year 12 retreats, and we had a student who was dared by other students on retreat to smash the year coordinator with a pillow as he walked into the room on retreats. And Mr. Dennis Burns was a very scary character, and I think a few students chipped in $5 each, and this student did whack Mr. Burns when he came with the pillow. Well, we don't know what happened to him. He was never seen again, the student. But no, that was a very, very funny incident, and probably something that wouldn't happen these days, thank heavens.
No, nothing will happen.
No,
retreats
never,
these days.
ever.
No. Okay, now we come to sort of more modern times. Don, when did you come to the school as a teacher?
Started in 1993 under the principal Peter McNamara, and the deputy was John McDermott at the time.
John McGuire.
John McGuire, is that right? Who were both great principal and deputy, great leadership and great mentors as a young teacher into the school. We still had a few of the brothers here at the school at the time, which I know my friends that went to the school always ask about, are there any brothers still around? And they were at the time, which were a great asset to the school and the Marist community here at the school. And I've been working in the TAS department, Industrial Arts, and then moved across into careers and vocational education, which is, in the last decade or so, has grown to be quite large here at the school.
And Fitzy, when did you arrive?
I started here in 1991, and halfway through first term after having a year off, and I taught at St John's Lakemba before that, for 4 years. I started, brother Pat Foley employed me, and since then I've been through 5 principals, but I remember the school's gone through many phases. The co-ed, I suppose I was enticed back here through my mother, said there was a job going here, maternity replacement, back to Di Booth, and Di Booth was going on leave, so that's how I got my job. Initially it was just for a year, but I'm here, this is my 19th year, so I must enjoy it.
You look just as young as you did then.
Yes, well, there's a slight few changes. My voice has got deeper.
Yes, and other changes, yes. Obi.
I arrived to teach here in 1999, fresh out of university. A job came up and Steve Bishop was maths coordinator at the time, and came in for an interview, and Brian Roberts, who was vice principal when I was at school, he was here, and yeah, had a quick interview for a 1-year job, and yeah, been here ever since. This is my 11th year at the school, and I suppose the reason I stay is because we have such a good staff, gentlemen like Dom and Fitzy, very tight group of guys. We do enjoy a social outing, and it's something that makes it pretty pleasant to come to school, to catch up with these guys every day. So if I didn't enjoy it, I wouldn't be here anymore. So yeah, definitely a good working environment.
Good. Well, thanks fellas for your reminiscences.